So today, the present moment as the gateway to your well-being. And I suppose that the starting point for this conversation today is, well, it's not really a conversation, is it? Presentation by me, is the innate nature of your well-being, of my well-being, of everybody's well-being. That is something that is there all the time. Now, if you're not feeling that at the moment, first of all, you have my deepest love and regard and compassion. But second of all, when was the last time you felt the way you think you need to feel to be well? And it probably wasn't that long ago. Even if you've not been feeling good, there will have been moments when you have just had those glimpses of your natural well-being. They will be the moments when you haven't been caught up in your thinking, the moments when your well-being wasn't obscured by your thoughts about the past, your thoughts about the future, your thoughts about what the people think about you, your thoughts about what's next for you and whether you can get it wrong or not, your thoughts about the decision you think you have to make and it feeling like your life depends on that. All the thoughts, really. And everybody, I think, who I talk to around this conversation has a slightly different take on this. You know, a slightly different flavor, I think. I often think that, you know, what I speak about, this three principles thing, is fundamental principles of how the human experience is created. And that to me is a bit like the ice cream going through the ice cream factory. There's probably the vast majority of the ice cream production process is exactly the same, except a different flavor is added at some point. So you end up with a different flavor of ice cream. But the actual process by which that is created, the ice cream is created, is exactly the same for every tub of ice cream. Just a little flavoring is different. And that's the same for you. It doesn't really matter too much how much your thinking is, you know, what kind of thinking it is. That doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter whether your thinking's about the past or the future more, or that it's about decision making, or it's about how you're viewed by others, or whatever it is, whatever flavor of thinking it is. It's not to do with what's happening now. So the present moment is the gateway to our well-being, because in the moment when we see that our stories of the past and the future and what other people are thinking, what people are going to think, and all the stories about us falls away, that mostly happens when we're in the present moment. And that's why things like, you know, I was doing some yoga this morning, and, you know, it's very much focus, you know, hold this pose, but focus on your breath. You know, as you're moving, focus on your breath. And when you're focusing on your breath, which is an element of your physiological system, that which cannot time travel, that which cannot be caught up in thinking and go away from well-being, whether that is your breath or whether it's your feet on the floor, or even the tightness you might be experiencing or the angry butterflies in your stomach, then you are in reality. Then you are in the present moment. And then you can see how perfectly made you are. And overthinking, of course, feels so heavy. It feels so, it literally can feel like a weight, can't it, in your body? Because it's the weight of the thinking. Overthinking's like layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of thinking. But interestingly, as you begin to look in this direction, you begin to see that the overthinking leads to certain kinds of sensations in the body. We might call those stress, we might call them anxiety. And that those are just signals to let you know you're not in the present moment anymore. You've wandered away from the present moment. And every single time, and I know there have been times when you've seen this, every single time that you see this, every single time that you notice, oh, I'm feeling all this tension in my body. Oh, I'm noticing it, and I'm deciding to just put that down. I was talking to somebody earlier, to a client earlier, and talking about, the crazy trains of thought that we can get on, that, that train pulls into the station, and there's a moment of getting onto the train, isn't there? We sometimes, if we're slowing down enough, we can sometimes literally see ourselves. Although I think if we're going slowly enough, if we're enough in the present moment, we can see ourselves about to get on the train, and we can go, actually, I'm going to let that train go to crazy thinking town without me. I really want to get on it. Sometimes we might get on that train and we'll go a couple of stations and then go, oof, I can feel the energy being, I don't know, like sucked out of me. It feels sometimes to me like that, like it's so much mental energy. So, where I said it feels heavy, it just feels draining as well, doesn't it? To be caught up in all that thinking. And the thinking is always taking us out of the present moment into some kind of story about what's happening means, when it probably doesn't mean anything at all, other than what we're, it doesn't mean anything at all. We're making meaning about it. And so the seeing of how to come home, or comes from, I think, seeing that clarity and calm are always available. They are there all the time. Your well-being is there all the time, always available to you. And you literally have to just get off the train. That's it. It sometimes surprises me that for so many years I didn't know I could stop thinking about something. Like that was a possibility. Like I get that in the moment we see what we see and we don't see what we don't see, and maybe sometimes we don't see that possibility, but when we do, it's such a relief that we don't have to be up in our heads thinking and thinking and thinking to try and achieve peace, to try and get to the present moment. Maybe we don't have to chase that. We don't have to create it. But the mind can settle naturally when we just put it down. The thinking, we just put it down. And I suspect for most of us that, when I speak to my clients, we're generally going round in similar, generally going round in similar circles. Generally the same patterns are coming up again and again, and starting to notice the predictability of that is really helpful. Perhaps you've noticed that when you go towards something in your life, a change or a decision or a relationship or something, there is usually a similar reaction from your thinking. And you can start to see then that those things aren't really, the likelihood of them being helpful is pretty minimal or non-existent, really. So, I spoke in another video about, are you in your head or in the world? And that, this is another kind of slightly different take on this. Really, if you are 100% mentally in the present moment, your well-being is there. It's there all the time. It cannot be stolen or broken or taken away from you. You cannot be broken. It's the simplest thing in the world. It really is. And when you see it, it kind of helps because you can see that there's this possibility to drop, to let go, to just allow yourself to settle, to drop the thinking, to get off the train of thought. So I hope that's helpful. If that's helpful and you've noticed, you've got some patterns like that, you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, stuck, you'd like a little bit more clarity, then please do reach out. You don't have to feel so bad. Okay. Take care. Lots of love.